Hi, Phoenix Warrior here. I wanted to talk about forgiveness letters. I did a video on forgiveness and stuff, and it's on the computer somewhere, lost. Technology sometimes not as my friend. And when you're dealing with energy, um, well, a little snapshot. With energy, right now I have, this is my Aragon. This is my Aura Light. Um, Energy's pretty ramped up right now because I've been doing a few different videos and things like that. And I have to have my bare feet on a salt lamp because when I am channeling or talking or absorbed a bunch of energy. And right now too, we're going into like a new moon. Um, April is a bittersweet month for me. Um, my mom's birthday is on the 16th of April, and my grandmother's is April 29th, and a couple grandbabies in there and whatnot. Um, so their birthdays were always a very big to do thing. Plus, just Easter is in there with my brother's favorite holiday, our family favorite holiday, and we're Ukrainian, so we like to do the Easter eggs and all of that kind of stuff. And this year, because of the isolation, we can't do a lot of that kind of stuff. So um, this year for Easter, I decided I wanted to, still do something, kind of change up the mood. I went and made, because I did a video on bucket buckets, because I think everybody should have a bucket bucket, just because it's fun to say. Anyways, I made my kids big bucket buckets, not little ones, but bigger ones. Like, I'll show you. This is the small version of the bucket bucket. I made bigger metal ones, and I put, a bunch of goodies and stuff in it. But because they're all older, the youngest one like 19, and they go up to like basically almost 30. The children, I gave birth to 5, and I have a couple of stepchildren. So in total, 4 girls, 4 boys, and they all have partners except for 1 or 2. And so lots of children. So what I did is on Saturday for Easter, I drove to all their places. And of course, they don't live close. They live in different areas of the city, like Bowness and Bridlewood and Skyview, Chestermere, all over the place. And then I went up to the doorbell and rang it like 20 times. And then some of them don't lock the doors. Like a lot of times I don't lock the doors. That's all another thing. But I opened up the door, dropped the basket in there, shut the door, and run back to my vehicle. And startled a few of them. But that's what Easter was for this year. You make the best of it. So basically, what I wanted to do with this video was forgiveness letters, because one of the things that I've learned on my journey is we come here to learn lessons. Basically, there's a theme in your life, and the two that are like neck and neck in my life is 1, forgiveness, and 2 is love. Those are my 2 big lessons, I think. Apparently I signed up for those 2 classes. I'm sure there could have been a more fun one, but that's the ones that I picked. Okay. So with that, I've been doing forgiveness letters, and I love the moon and new moon and full moon. So I've been kind of studying and looking that up and stuff like that. So for me, when I do my forgiveness letters and intention letters, my desires and wants and goals letters and all that kind of stuff, I like to burn them at a new moon or a full moon, which is coming up for us, a new moon. and that coming up in a couple days. So actually, which now makes sense why my computer's kind of been glitchy, because for me, for the new moon or even the full moon, 3 days before and 3 days after, I pick up on the energy and the intensity and stuff of it more so. So my phone will act up more, my computers will act up more. Full moon people just kind of go batshit crazy, I've noticed. So yeah, so one of the things, and in this video, it'll be just kind of a quick one of just kind of giving you an idea of different ways that you can do forgiveness letters. And then I'm going to do another video that's going to talk about experiences that I had and how I got to a place of forgiveness. And some of my aha moments and the things that I've actually learned in that whole process. And that for letters, it doesn't have to be anything fancy or anything like that. I like to do certain things. So for me, like, I like to write with, special pens. I've put that in the other one. This is now one of my favorite ones, because at Christmas, two beautiful ladies put together a Christmas present for me with a bunch of beautiful things. So one of the most beautiful gifts I've been given in a long time and stuff like that. But it was really cool because, I love rose gold and sparkles and all that kind of stuff. So I have this pen. I don't have it on me. It must be in my other bag. I love writing with purple pens. So I have, lots of purple. I believe color has energy. As you can see, I'm wearing purple, and I decided to change my t-shirt and wear purple while I'm talking about these topics of forgiveness letters, and that because purple has two meanings. One, it's like your crown and your psychic abilities and things like that. So it's like kind of calling in, the higher powers and things like that. It's also a healing color for healing and that. And my mom absolutely loved purple. And she was one of my lessons for learning forgiveness and that. And I actually did learn the lesson before she passed. So I'm very, very grateful for that. I didn't have no regrets. But yeah, she was one of the biggest lessons for me for forgiveness and that. So forgiveness letters, what I like to do is I like writing on a purple pad. It was given by another lady of mine Christmas time. She gave me a gift, me and a couple of other people, and pad of paper, and it's purple. You get it at Walmart or Staples. Those are the only two places that you can get it. And just, you probably can't see it in here, but it is purple. It's like a lavender kind of purple. So I like to write on my purple paper. And for me, I think for forgiveness letters, pick, like I did, I picked a purple pad because I like to write on purple, and because it's a healing color, forgiveness color. It's like setting an intention in the paper. When you're writing that forgiveness letter, it's on purple, so it's already like healing. I like to write with purple ink. You don't have to pick a certain color of ink. You can pick whatever color you would like. I just wouldn't pick blue ink. And the reason why I say that is because for success principle in workings of the mind and stuff like that, I was in a leadership training one time, and they basically said, if you want your goals and you want to achieve your goals, always write them in blue ink, because your brain will remember it and lock it in. Ever since I ever heard that, I was like, well, I'm never writing my forgiveness letters or anything like that with blue ink. And I never have. because I was thinking I don't want that locked in and I'm trying to release it. So just in case that actually works, I didn't actually go and look up the research and the study on it. I've heard it a few times, so there must be some mental, thing to it. So I just went right with blue ink. I would write with any other color. I don't write with red ink on forgiveness letters because red, it's like passion, anger, um, passion and anger, it's right at the same thing, love and hate, balance, right? The yin and yang. So write in black ink, green, pink, purple, write in any other color. The whole thing about it is write with something that you love. Write with something that you like. The whole point of writing a forgiveness letter is to, one, write out whatever's bothering you and upsetting you so that you can release it. And I find everybody needs some form of a process in order to work through things. So with forgiveness letters, you can meditate, have a salt bath or a nice relaxing bath or whatever. I think in order to do, forgiveness letters or whatever, you need some time to yourself that's going to be uninterrupted. For me, I like to write out my letters and then I put them in what I call a surrender box, which I will do a video on that. I've had a few people ask me to actually do that. I'll show you. I've got mine. This is my, you can get them at the dollar store, right? It just has a whole bunch of words and things like that on it. But in it, I just put some things in it, right? So in my forgiveness box, I have a little thing of different crystals in there. I keep a thing of my my grandmother in there. I also put, I have a lighter in there. I also have wooden matches because I was told that when you go to burn your letters and stuff like that, you should always do it with the wooden matches. And for the life of me, I've forgotten why they need to be wooden matches. You can burn them with it. And that it's more of a symbolic kind of process. Wooden matches are preferred. So I just keep it in there so that I have them and I don't misplace it. But in your surrender box, you can put it in a box, you can put it in an envelope, you put it in your bucket. The reason why I put it in that box is because most people then won't look in it or whatever. And I find one of the important things about forgiveness letters or those type of letters, if you are living in a house with other people and at any point, if you think that someone may read it and may judge you, or then you won't actually write what you need to write. The whole point for them to actually work is you need to write and express everything. And it can be with the people that have passed, it can be with people that are living, because let's just say married couple. Your wife or your husband, partner, whatever you want to call them, your significant other, they've upset you. And you're mad at them, kind of thing. Write the letter, right? But if you think that they're going to read it, then you will curve the letter for that, and it defeats the whole purpose and that. So have a sacred place that either that the people that if you live with other people that they respect and won't go in, or have a place where you can lock it up or where it's safe and secure. You have to know instinctively and within your own mind that it's safe, or you won't write what you need to write. and then it defeats the whole purpose of it. So have it, and I like to set the intention and put it in there because our words are energy and have power. So I'm a firm believer that when you say and you write, it's like, law of attraction, thoughts become things. So what you do is you set the intention that everything that you're going to write on that piece of paper and that you're going to express, one, do no harm. Now, let's say someone has upset you. Let's just say hypothetically someone has harmed your child and you're really upset with that person. You can't hang on to that because that's going to, fester and cause health problems and emotional problems and everything like that. You need to get rid of it. So when you set the intention to do no harm, it doesn't matter what you put on that piece of paper. And I use the example of, let's say somebody harmed your child and and you put in there, oh, I wish you were dead, or I could blah, 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 and you describe it. You need to get it out. You write it on a piece of paper, but when you set the intention that it will do no harm, it goes nowhere, send it to the ground, love and light kind of thing. You're just expressing it. And you can do this a couple different ways. You can set the intention and it's done. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Like, really, you don't. Set that intention that just does no harm, or ask your guides to come in and say, take these words and do no harm, like, release them and release them from me kind of thing. So then you write your letter, write everything that you need to put in it and express. And I mean, put everything in it, put like every emotion and everything you're feeling. Most of the times what we don't do is we don't express how we feel. In the letters, we try to protect or go, oh, I shouldn't feel that way, and we beat ourselves up, but then it's stored somewhere in your body. And if you have any type of illnesses or anything like that, it's because those words are just sitting there somewhere and festering. And that, so you write it out on the letter and then fold it up and put it like in your surrender box in your safe little spot. Set the intention that is, it's for your letters to hold it, and then burn them. I think, or shred them. I guess you could shred it if you want to do that. I like the whole, the symbolic and the whole intention of burning them. Because there's just something about, it's because I like the phoenix and have fire and water in me and that. There's something about when you're sitting there and you set the intention to release this and you light it on fire and you burn it. And I like, fires and the different colors. And one of the coolest experiences, because I've been doing this for quite a few years now, burning letters, different emotions give different fire. And when there's like a lot of anger and upset, and it goes poof, or it's kind of sad and there's a lot of hurt. It, like, sometimes it takes a long time to get them suckers to burn because some of it you're not letting go. And sometimes when I'm trying to light it and trying to get it to burn and it just doesn't want to burn, I have to say a little prayer of, yes, I'm releasing this. Okay, help me take this. And then all of a sudden, poof, catches on fire and it burns. So you start to notice that everything has energy. And those words have energy, and you will see the different flames and things like that. So that's kind of why I like to burn them, because you can actually see it. And if you've, let's say, only done 1 or 2 letters and, one burns really fast and one doesn't, and you kind of know which one is which, you can see that. So it's a neat process to do. One of the other things for forgiveness letters, I love the Ho'oponopono story and the prayer. I'm a practitioner certified in the Ho'oponopono and that, so I do it quite often. And it's one of those things that you really can't put your finger on, but it's a really neat experience. And that The idea and the concept behind it is that we're all one, we're all connected. And if I see in you that you're a twat waffle, then I'm being a twat waffle, basically. Yeah, sorry for my creative wording. The best way to explain it, to me anyways. What I see in another person is what's in me. It's like a mirror. And that's going to upset a few people. They're going to be like, no, that person was rude or ignorant. That person's an a-hole, da, 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 whatever. I'm not like that. And if you've seen it, then you have it in you. If you don't trust your partner, you don't have trust in you for whatever reason. Let's say you're not being, so we'll just talk about trust in a relationship, because it's kind of easy to do. If you don't trust your partner, you think that they're doing something behind your back, there's some secret, 9 times out of 10, you're not sharing something with them. Could be just as simple as, you know, a lot of women, they go shopping and buy something they don't want the partner to know. In the spiritual world, a lot of us are in the closet. I mean, now when people see the videos, they're going to go, she is a medium and she's spiritual. What the boom? Because I never openly really said it before. I mean, over now, a lot of my posts and stuff like that, then if they're paying attention, they should understand I'm spiritual, medium, intuitive, empath, the whole bit, like I am. I see dead people. Yeah, fun. That was fun. But usually we don't share certain things with other people. So for trust, you know, if maybe you're not sharing with your partner that side of you. Maybe you have a certain hobby or whatever that you do and you're just not telling them. That's an energy that's there. Could be even trying to think of a few other things. If you've had somebody hurt you, betray your trust, let's say a parent or a previous relationship, you carry that with you, you project it onto your partner. Your partner will have had the same experience, maybe not the exact experience, but it'll have that same energy. So then those two people are projecting and mirroring what they need to heal in the other person. The other thing is what your parents have done to you, or what you feel they've done to you. You'll take that and put it in your relationships and stuff like that. If people have labeled you with certain labels, then you will portray that. You'll see that in other people. So how you see yourself, you see other people. So the whole theory of this Ho'oponopono is that we're all supposed to be from basically love, light, unconditional love, and we're all connected. And if you think about it, if you take a couple of people and describe them, you know, in work, let's say, we'll just say in work, there was a lady, and I seen her a certain way, and everybody else had a different perspective of this one lady, let's say, hypothetically, we're just saying. I describe her this way, that, and each person is describing her differently. Well, you'll start to see that how, let's just say this person is really, really nasty with me and cold and miserable. But with this other person, she's very bubbly and very happy and very happy-go-lucky type of person. Well, if you look at both of their personalities and how they are, you would probably describe them in the same similar way. So how can one person be so different to two different people? It's because that person is mirroring something back to them. Either they need to heal from it, or they're like that. So usually what you see in other people, you have in you. You either need to heal from it, or you portray it for whatever. So the whole theory of it is, if you do this Ho'oponopono, and what you do is you write their name on a piece of paper, and this is one way to do it. Write their name on a piece of paper, and then you say the Ho'oponopono prayer. And in a lot of the research, it's 4 sayings. There's actually 6. I added the 6th one because I like the 6th one. And this other gentleman added the 5th one. And so there's 6 of them. But it's, I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. You can say it in any order. I forgive myself. I love myself. I forgive myself and I love myself are one of the 2 hardest things that people can say or do for themselves. They can usually say and do it for other people, but I've learned in my journey, if you can't say it to yourself, you won't be able to say it to another person 100%. Because if you can't say you love yourself, you can't actually love the other person. If you can't forgive yourself, you can't actually forgive the other person. If you say that you're not judgmental, but you've judged another person, you'll be judging yourself even harder than other people. So usually people that are very judgmental are very hard and very judgmental on themselves. And it kind of goes hand in hand. It's a learning process. So with that, you put their name on a piece of paper, and then I like to write it over and over again, or you can write it a few times and just read it over and over again. But the whole process of when you're writing it, it gets your mind and your body and everything, and basically when you're saying those statements over and over again, and as you're writing it, you say it, or you can just read it, whichever you're drawn to do. I think the whole writing of it is a good process to do. And as you're writing it and saying it over again, it removes whatever that upset, that energy is in that other person and in yourself. Now, in the spiritual world, we have boundaries. And I mean, we see it like Hollywood kind of style, as people walk up, the different psychics walking up to people and going, did you have a mother, blah, 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 that passed over, and they give you information. That is actual a spiritual psychic attack. It's against a boundary. You wouldn't normally walk up to a person and said, hey, did you have sex with your husband or your wife last night? Technically, you don't. It's kind of rude, right? So you wouldn't walk up to somebody and say or do the same thing. Now, not everybody believes the same thing. If it's ever happened to you, you'll understand why you just shouldn't do it. On the flip side, when spirits, soul families, when they want to talk with a loved one, yes, they get really loud and they really bug people. I have a few close friends and family that have lost people, and their loved ones will really try to get my attention because they love them and they're concerned and they want to give them a message. I don't give it. Half of them don't know. I kind of didn't want to open up that door because I don't want them constantly phoning me up and saying, hey, can you pull my card? Can you read me this? Is this person talking or whatever? Also, on the flip side, my soul family and stuff, I have a lot of medium and intuitive friends, and yeah, they will bug them. We'll be talking or whatever, and they pipe in and make comments and stuff, and a lot of time, and they have full permission to tell them, no, you got to follow boundaries or whatever. Be the odd time where a friend or something will say, hey, your grandma won't stop, or your brother or whoever, and they've given me messages or whatever, but they always ask. They're like, your grandmother's speaking to me, or your brother, or your family just won't leave me alone. Can I just tell you what they're saying? Or we're having a conversation and I make a comment, they make a comment. But I had one time where I was walking through either a trade show or some kind of a building, walking through, and this person grabbed my arm and started to tell me that my brother was talking to him, and it was only a few years after my brother had passed. And it was really upsetting and startling. I mean, some of the messages, yes, were really good and kind of comforted me, but it it one, freaks you out, and two, if you're not really in that space where you really want to hear about a loved one that you know um, wants to give you a message. And my brother died very traumatically and was killed, so some of the details in there, I wasn't ready or prepared for that, and I was on my way to go do something where I had to pull myself together, kind of thing. So I wasn't impressed. So I really try not to do that to anybody else. And that I've had a few people where I've went to them and said, you know, are you open to some messages, advice, or something like that? And most of the time they are. And if they're, and I tell them, you know, it's okay. However, once they're gone, they're gone. That's the other thing, that when we do our channeling and things like that, I set the intention that anything I get and it's gone. So it also helps with forgiveness letters, which is one of the other things you can do. You set the boundary of, when I write this down on this piece of paper, I want it to be gone. Now, it's not like you're going to have complete amnesia and never remember, but it actually does something to take the emotion and take a lot of it out, and it releases. And I think that it really helps. And I've noticed over the process of doing forgiveness letters that that little bit of information really helped to let it go and release it. You set the intention. They don't need to be long intentions. They don't need to be complicated, just really short, sweet. And there's lots of information you can get on intention stuff. And I have lots of different, you know, information. Send me a message and I'll share it with you. So with that, that's how you do the Ho'oponopono with your forgiveness letters. You could take your letter and just hold on to it and just say the prayer over and over and over again till it feels like it's released, let go. With certain people or certain experiences, you might have to do it more than once. It's not a thing. Sometimes once is good and you'll feel it release. Sometimes you got to write 3, 4, 5 times because things pop up, things show up down the road. Sometimes what helps when you're doing your forgiveness letters, you like name it and claim it. You put down all the emotions that you felt. I felt betrayed. I felt angry. I felt frustrated. I wanted to strangle you. Like, you know, you put all the emotion in there. You know, I felt you know, sad, heartbroken, whatever. Label as many emotions as you can in it in order to release it and let it go. And one other forgiveness, it goes in with the forgiveness letters, is one of the best exercises you can do for yourself is, it's like a 2-part thing. Write out your life story of all the things that have happened to you. Sometimes it's just as simple as, let's say, I'll give my experience, like, it's born, you know, on this date. And then the next date, I lived with my grandparents when I was about a year old. And then at the age of 3, my father passed away. And then at age of 6.5, 7, I went into foster care, like that kind of thing. So you kind of write out the details of the experiences that you had. And then what you do is, after you write that out, then you write a letter to little Melina. No, okay. Video is acting up. See, the spirits are coming in. So you write to dear little Melina. At the age of 3, you're going to lose your dad, and give advice to that 3-year-old. let that 3-year-old know that it wasn't her fault. She did nothing, wrong, that kind of thing. And you go through those different experiences. And when you went into foster care, once again, you didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't your fault. They loved you. That kind of thing. You give the advice up until now. One of the best things to do with that is when you're giving the advice, always do it from a place of love, unconditional love. If you're a parent, think of what kind of advice you would give your child if they're in a really, really dark, upsetting place and you want to be as nurturing and loving as possible. Come from kind of that place and not, do that. Give them the advice, and then let your little self know all the lessons that you learned, because in all of those challenges and struggles and those things that we went through, we learned some lessons. It made us who we are right now. So like, be proud of who you are and all the things that you learned, because you learned all these lessons in those things, and it made you who you are. It gave you more compassion, more understanding, more patience. It's given you a place where you can forgive. And you can forgive a lot more than you're giving yourself credit, and most people don't think that. So give those little bits of advice, and all those little blessings, all the lessons. Figure out the lessons that you learned in those experiences. Figure out the blessings. Because for an example, if I hadn't married the person I had married, and I went ahead the child that I had with them, that kind of thing. And if I hadn't gotten divorced and left when I did, I wouldn't have learned, that I could actually, do the things that I could do, and I wouldn't have met the next person in my life to be able to give them the children that I had, those kind of things. Because one of the things that, we sit back and go, oh, I shouldn't have married this one, or I shouldn't have been with that person, or I shouldn't have taken that job. But take one thing out of the equation, and you don't have the people in your life that you would have had if the road was different. And that, so, less of regrets, right? Look at all the blessings, and then you'll realize that you only had a certain amount of knowledge in those experiences. Same way for that other person. When you walk in their shoes and you see maybe what they've been through, with the knowledge and the experience that they've had, you give them more grace. Do the whole thing when you're doing your forgiveness letters. What if they're doing the best that they can do with what they have and what they know? What if that is their best? As soon as you come from that space, you look at them and you feel differently. And in my other videos, I'll explain more of that with my mom and my brother and go into more depth with that one. But yeah, those are just a couple of different ways to do forgiveness letters. I'll speak more about that later. Burn them for the new moon, full moon. The other thing is if someone has given you something and there's a hurt or an upset, their energy is in it, maybe get rid of it. Maybe gift it to somebody else. If it's, a card, a book, letters, things like that, burn them. Only keep the things in your environment that you absolutely love. And if there's somebody that's hurt you and they've given you something, every time you pick that up or look at it, you're going to pick up on that emotion, feeling, upset, which is going to add to all that energy. So in my space, I only have things I absolutely love. And I got rid of a lot of things. And there's been some beautiful gifts that people have given me. And I've gifted them away because certain things were said or whatever between us. And every time I would look at that item or whatever, I would think of those things and I realized of the energy. And every time they're upset with you and they look at something that maybe you gave, that comes back to you. And in another video, we'll talk about how to prevent that in 2 different videos. One, I know a lady that has created these sacred baths, and the first one everybody absolutely should do. It's a protection one. I'm a firm believer in that. And the second one is actually after you do all your letters and that, and you've burnt them, Epsom salts, salt bath to cleanse your energy. And anybody that is feeling a little bit affected or drained or feels energy and stuff around them, there was a time where I'd have to have an Epsom salt bath every night with a lot of the things that I was going through and dealing with and just being around people in general. Another thing you can do is ground yourself. So another reason why I like to burn my letters, I would do it out in my yard. I had a fire pit and I'd burn them out there. And when it wasn't snow and winter, I would have my feet right on the ground, right on the grass, because it's very grounding, and that really helped. And I drink moon water. I do that too. And when I do that, I have the intention that it's going to release everything. And that, so Epsom salt baths, especially after you've done any type of forgiveness work and that. And I'm going to do a bunch more videos on forgiveness and stuff, because that's just a huge thing that a lot of people, basically, forgiveness. We need to forgive in order to love and be in that space. So that's a little bit more of forgiveness letters. And I hope you enjoyed it and hope you learned something from it. And have a good evening.